Welcome to Dataminiums. Time to rescue your reserve.
And reclaim your purpose. Live from Family Café. You know, it's funny. You know exactly when your phone hits 20% battery.
Oh, yeah. You can't miss it.
Right. It's impossible to miss. Battery icon turns bright red. Maybe your screen dims a little bit. And this pop-up basically just screams at you to go find a charger right now.
And we all just, immediately drop what we're doing and plug it in.
Exactly. We panic. And here is the question for you listening. What warns you when your own mental and emotional battery is running critically low?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because most of us completely ignore our internal battery until our own, screens just go totally dark. We're remarkably hyper-vigilant about managing the power levels of these glass and metal rectangles in our pockets.
Right, but we're terrible at managing our own heads.
Notoriously terrible.
Right.
We are terrible at stewarding our own cognitive reserves. We just push and push until we snap.
And that is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We are exploring this modern landscape of digital attention and emotional stewardship.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. And our sources today come straight from the 2026 Family Café event in Orlando, Florida.
Which is a fantastic event, by the way.
Oh, incredible. It's this huge gathering of families, advocates, and the disability community. And we're looking at live audio transcripts, some really unique visual materials from the event, and excerpts from this fascinating new project by author Aaron Wemple. It's called Rescue Meter Blessed, 21 Tiny Wins to Turn Empty Screen Storms into Full Reserves.
Right. And what's crucial to establish right out of the gate here is that Wemple's goal is not to tell you to, throw your smartphone into the ocean.
Right. Go live in a cave somewhere.
Exactly. This isn't anti-technology at all. It's about discovering how to reclaim your focus and your agency without completely disconnecting from the digital world. I mean, we live in the digital world.
Yeah, we have to.
So it's about navigating the information age with actual intention rather than just kind of floating downstream.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because before we can talk about rescuing our attention, we really have to look under the hood at exactly how it's being stolen in the first place.
Yeah, the theft part is important.
Right. And in Wemple's framework, our current relationship with our screens is basically described as this massive, exhausting tug of war.
A tug of war where the phone almost always wins.
Yeah.
Wemple refers to this specific dynamic as the feed freeze.
The feed freeze. I like that.
Yeah. So the phone pulls back harder, and ultimately your focus just gets completely stuck. Like your time gets stuck.
And your money sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. In a lot of cases, your money gets stuck too. He describes this as a system that's built on zero-sum screen economics.
So zero-sum, meaning there's a winner and a loser, and the house always wins.
Right.
It's like being caught in a digital riptide. You're swimming as hard as you can, but the current of the algorithm is just way too strong. And then suddenly you look up, an hour has passed, and you're like a mile down the beach, completely exhausted.
That riptide analogy is perfect, actually. Because a riptide doesn't actively hate you, right?
It's just water.
Exactly. It's just a force of nature doing what it does. And the internet acts like a big, beautiful, but intensely messy pool. By its very nature, without active stewardship, it naturally drifts toward chaos and, entropy.
Okay, but I've got to push back on this for a second.
Sure.
Because it's incredibly easy for digital wellness gurus to just sit there and say, oh, just put the phone down, you're in a tug of war, just let go of the rope.
Right, the classic advice.
But we live in 2026. I mean, I need my phone to survive. For you listening, you probably need it too. I need Slack for work. I need my calendar for family logistics, my banking app.
Oh, totally.
If I put the phone down, my life literally falls apart. So how is this feed freeze concept not just another massive guilt trip about our screen time?
No, that is a totally fair pushback, and it's exactly the trap that most wellness advice falls into. But Wemple isn't actually telling you to drop the rope. What's fascinating here is how he reframes the mechanics of the interaction itself. He's not trying to make you feel guilty for being pulled by the current. He's pointing out that the environment is explicitly engineered to extract your attention.
Oh, so it's not a moral failure on my part.
Exactly. You aren't failing at willpower. You're participating in an economy where extraction is the primary business model.
This glowing droplet is being pulled apart by the dark shapes surrounding it. This represents how modern life, through screens, bills, and conflict, interacts with your attention. These external pressures act as a silent drain on your focus. This model identifies the individual as the reserve, the source of energy, rather than the source of the depletion. Modern systems often lack a physical circuit breaker. Without a forced pause, multiple external pressures pull from this same life supply at the same time until the reserve is empty. A rescue meter serves as a tangible visual circuit breaker.
Wow, that's a great point. The lack of reciprocity is just baked right into the hardware.
It is.
There's actually a joke from the live presentation that perfectly captures this. So Wemple asks the crowd, he says, "Why don't phones ever feel guilty?"
Oh, right, I read this.
Yeah, and the punchline is, because they're the only ones in the room without a conscience and definitely without a rescue meter.
I mean, it gets a laugh, but it highlights a really stark physiological reality. The machine feels absolutely no fatigue.
Right, a server farm doesn't need to sleep.
Exactly. It never reaches an empty reserve. So if you're operating in a zero-sum economy against an opponent that never ever tires, you are mathematically guaranteed to lose your emotional and mental reserves eventually.
You just can't out-endure an algorithm.
You simply can't.
Okay, so if the zero-sum tug-of-war is basically a rigged game, what does a winning strategy actually look like? Well, Wemple proposes building a literal internal dashboard for our brains. He calls it the rescue meter.
The rescue meter.
Yeah, and the mechanics of it break down into 3 very distinct actionable steps.
Right. So the first step is see it.
See it.
Yeah, this is foundational awareness. It's
Yeah.
about training your brain to notice when something feels off, like recognizing that subtle tightening in your chest or that glossy-eyed feeling before your battery hits 0%.
And then step 2 is choose it, which means actively picking a reset mechanism to interrupt that freeze.
Right.
And then step 3 is bank it. By taking that action, you protect your attention and you earn what the project calls rescue credits.
And we should clarify here, rescue credits aren't like some digital currency in an app you have to download.
No.
They are psychological tally marks. It's a gamification of your own agency.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. The way this entire concept was visually presented at the Family Café is just absolutely incredible. I have to describe this visual we have from Wemple's Dataminiums project set up at the event.
Oh, please go for it, because the visual design perfectly encapsulates the totally unique tone they're going for here.
Okay, so picture this. The image is labeled Scene 1, live from Family Café. You've got this heavy professional wooden podcast desk, but sitting at the mics aren't people.
Nope.
It's 2 enormous, gorgeous St. Bernard dogs.
Giant dogs.
Yes, and they are completely decked out. They're wearing professional over-ear studio headphones, dark sunglasses, and these shiny gold bow ties. It's this brilliant, delightful absurdity.
It's so good.
And on the desk in front of them, you have coffee mugs and these official nameplates. One nameplate says MyDAD Podcast, and the other says MyMAW Podcast. And right between them is this heavy golden seal that reads, Rescue, Restore, Reclaim, Power, Protect, Prosper.
Wow.
And right below that, a plaque that says, Rescued My Reserve, Living My Purpose.
It's such a striking, slightly surreal image when you look at it. But those acronyms on the nameplates MyDAD and MyMAW, they actually carry the core philosophical weight of the whole system.
Right. So MyDAD stands for Default's Always Dead.
Default's always dead.
Which is a pretty blunt way of stating the obvious. You know, if you just go with the default settings of the modern digital world, your attention is effectively dead.
Yeah, you'll just be strip mined for data.
Exactly. And then MyMAW stands for Mental Alchemy Wellness. Although looking at the live transcript, they joke around about changing it to mental and animal wellness because, you know, there are 2 giant dogs sitting right there.
Right, which makes sense. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the choice of St. Bernards as the mascots is incredibly deliberate.
Oh, how so?
Well, what is a St. Bernard?
Oh.
They are the quintessential historical rescue dogs.
Oh, of course, the little barrels around their neck.
Exactly. They're legendary for finding lost, freezing travelers in the snow and bringing them a restorative reserve. So this visual represents the shift into what Wemple calls the G67 new economy model.
Okay, explain that G67 concept a bit more, because when I first read it, it sounds a little like corporate jargon, but it's actually a totally different way of viewing our interaction with tech.
Right. So think of the old tech economy, basically Web 2.0, as purely extractive.
Okay.
Your attention is the product being sold to advertisers. The G67 new economy model is a conceptual shift toward a regenerative ecosystem.
It's on your...
Yes. It's a paradigm where profitable self-care becomes the ultimate asset. When you utilize your rescue meter, You aren't just like saving yourself from a doom scroll. You're actively generating value for your own mental health. You're shifting from being a resource that gets mined to an investor banking your own resilience.
And that is where the golden surfboard metaphor comes in.
Yes.
The text calls it a regenerative approach. Instead of the old tug of war where you fight the riptide and drown, you grab this golden surfboard.
Right.
You're still in the ocean, you're still using your phone, paying your bills, talking to your boss, but now you're riding the wave instead of being pulled under by it. You're buoyant. Both you and the phone win because you're interacting entirely on your terms.
Exactly. It's a profound mechanical shift from trying to defeat the technology to creating an internal ecosystem where your self-care is recognized as the highest value.
I love that.
But to really understand why building this internal dashboard is so utterly critical, we have to look at the neurological and real-world consequences of failing to do so.
Yeah, the dark side of this.
Right. What actually happens when your emotional reserve runs completely dry?
And the source material doesn't sugarcoat this at all. The stakes aren't just about, feeling a little tired or getting less work done. The stakes are incredibly high, and they illustrate this with a devastating true story.
It's really tough to read.
It is. It happened in Ohio to an 83-year-old man named William Brock. He received a scam call. And we all know the terrifying ones, where the person on the other line claims they have a family member hostage and they demand immediate cash.
Right. Let's just pause here and look at the underlying mechanics of a call like that.
Okay.
Scans of that nature are explicitly engineered to bypass your prefrontal cortex, the logical reasoning part of your brain.
They don't want you thinking.
Exactly. They're designed to trigger a pure, adrenalized amygdala hijack.
Which is exactly what happened. Fear completely took over. Brock was panicked. But here is the twist. The scammer didn't actually show up at his door. Instead, the scammer manipulated a totally innocent Uber driver, a woman named Lolitha Toland Hall. She was simply sent to Brock's address through the app, told she was picking up a package for delivery.
Unbelievable.
She was just doing her job, trying to earn a living. The actual criminal was completely remote, sitting safely somewhere else, using the digital network to manipulate both of these people simultaneously.
It's a horrifying scenario. I mean,
Yeah.
Two entirely innocent people whose paths are violently forced together.
Yeah.
Both of them are acting out of pure survival instinct, one trying to save his family, the other trying to secure her livelihood.
Yeah.
And both are completely blinded by the invisible third party orchestrating the collision.
And the result was tragic. The altercation escalated, and 2 families were destroyed that day. Wemple explicitly points out that this happened just for doing what survival had them do.
Right.
So what does this all mean in the context of the rescue meter? It means the scammer successfully weaponized an empty emotional reserve.
Precisely. They flooded the victim's cognitive systems so fast that there was no time and no internal mechanism for either person to step back and assess reality.
It's like plugging too many appliances into one outlet. If there's no circuit breaker, the whole house catches fire.
That's the perfect analogy. And this raises an incredibly important question about our daily digital habits.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build a circuit breaker before the surge hits?
You have to have it ready.
Exactly. Because when fear, insecurity, or massive pressure takes over, human logic simply shuts down. The rescue meter isn't just some lighthearted wellness hack or a cute trick to get off TikTok faster.
No, not at all.
It is quite literally a critical safety system. It's a trained reflex designed to physically and mentally pause a situation before panic takes the wheel.
Because if you don't have that internal warning light installed, if you haven't built the habit of checking your own battery, you are completely vulnerable to anyone or anything that knows how to push your buttons. Which brings us to the most practical, actionable part of our deep dive. Now that we clearly see the stakes, how do we actually install these circuit breakers? Like, how do we practice the choose it and bank it steps in our daily lives?
Well, Wemple suggests doing it through what he calls tiny wins. And the beautiful thing about these wins is their absolute simplicity.
They really are simple.
Yeah. During the Family Café event, they actually gathered real-world examples of community resets from the people in attendance. They just asked people, what actually works for you?
And the list they compiled is so grounded and human. I mean, there are no expensive tech retreats on this list.
No floating and sensory deprivation tanks.
Right. People shared that their resets included things like just going for a walk, standing under a waterfall, or even just taking a shower. Diamond painting, creating art, coloring, writing, doing a Bible study.
Yeah, totally normal things.
Others mentioned petting a dog, taking a single deep breath, or even just hugging a giant teddy bear.
And the thematic framework Wemple provides for this is really interesting. He notes that from a theological perspective, God has been in the business of cleaning up messes since the beginning, turning entropy into order and turning emptiness into a full reserve.
Wow.
And regardless of your personal beliefs, that concept of turning chaos into order is exactly what these tiny wins accomplish. They are miniature, intentional acts of creating order out of the chaotic noise of the digital feed.
I really love that concept, turning entropy into order. And I want to pause right here and ask you, the listener, a direct question. What is your 10-second reset?
That's a great question to ask.
Yeah, because the ultimate goal of the Rescue Meter Blessed project isn't to hand you a rigid, one-size-fits-all formula. Wemple isn't mandating that you must take up diamond painting to survive the internet.
Right. If you hate diamond painting, don't do it.
Exactly. The goal is to help you build the reflex to notice you need some kind of reset before you find yourself in a crisis.
And there's hard neurological reality backing this up, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When we talk about banking it, we're really talking about neuroplasticity. Every time you successfully trigger that circuit breaker, every time you interrupt the feed freeze, stand up and go pet your dog, you are physically myelinating that neural pathway in your brain.
So you're literally rewiring your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A proper pause meter reset today essentially becomes tomorrow's superpower. You're making it biologically easier to step off the zero-sum tug of war the next time it happens. You are quite literally banking resilience.
We're talking about a fundamental shift here. We're moving away from that paralyzing feed freeze where our executive function is hijacked, and we're stepping into a regenerative ecosystem.
Right.
We have to start managing our emotional reserves with the exact same urgency and care that we manage our physical resources. Like, we would never drive a car around with the fuel light flashing red for 3 days straight, hoping for the best.
Oh, definitely not.
Yet we do it with our minds constantly. We just keep driving on fumes.
We really do. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the Family Café 2026 materials, I want to leave you with a thought that takes this idea of the rescue meter and projects it into the near future.
Welcome to Dataminiums. Time to rescue your reserve.
And reclaim your purpose.